What up, bro? How you doing?
How are you, bro? How's your day?
I'm well, man. It's Sunday. It's sunny. No complaints.
Good, good. Glad to hear, brother.
Is it okay if I record this on my end?
Nah, bro. Feel free, man. This is all you, bro. Like, you know what I mean? This is like, I planned it, but we didn't plan it, but we're planning. You know what I'm saying? Like, you do whatever, bro. There are no rules here, bro.
Awesome.
I'm recording it. I'll probably chop it up or whatever, but we're not on live or nothing like that, so.
Works for me, man. I'm excited. It's been a little bit. I'm excited what you have to go over and what we can brainstorm together and stuff. Cool.
What do you use to record?
I know StreamYard, and I'm trying to update my laptop soon. I still have a MacBook Pro 2012.
Okay.
So I'm trying to first get a new laptop soon, then I'm gonna get on StreamYard and stuff. But on the MacBook, usually what I do for my videos, there's a movie recording is through QuickTime. There's the movie recording, and then there's the screen recording. So I just put those two on, and I use that. When I talk to other people, it's either via Discord or Google Meet or something.
Okay. Yeah, it's like one of the simplest ways, because I started using Streamlabs. It's mostly used for gamers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I found that it worked well for me. It has its own little kinks.
Mm-hmm.
There's the free version and there's a paid version if you want to go live and all that. But
yeah,
whatever works for anybody. You know what I'm saying? Because I've had a couple issues here and there with some programs.
Heck yeah. I saw you said you were starting this project with your homies and stuff on video. Was that what you were doing yesterday when you guys were talking about crypto and stuff?
That was basically what we were doing. We're up all night. It was one of them. It was their birthday. I was supposed to come out with that a Peace of Mind was in there, and it was supposed to decode for my that I was doing on my own. And I had lasted a couple days, and I was I had to relate some numbers to the numbers of Bitcoin, and it was this whole thing. And I'm wait, this is something else here. So eventually, I'll probably just chop it up and just keep that part so people could just see what I was talking about. Where it was money is shit, and I was literally relating money to shit, but and it made sense. It was crazy. I was where am I going with this? Okay, but it made complete sense at the end. And then they're decoders themselves, they do more crypto and stuff like that. One of them does more a little bit of meme stocks and stuff like that. Great people though, man. I enjoy just bouncing off ideas, the esoteric, combining that too, the esoteric knowledge and all that with the numbers, numerology, astrology and all that. But yeah, man, that's why I was I wanted to talk to you, because I'm I see you as this young person. You're so vibrant. You do you mind introducing yourself, man, please?
Yeah. So right off the bat, thank you for having me on DeCode. Thank you for that. So I am my YouTube channel is D.A.T.A Productions Media. On Discord, I go by D.A.T.A Productions Media. My real name is D. Arthur Turner. I just go by Art from short. If you guys want to call me Art, or you just want to call me D.A.T.A, that's okay.
I like D.A.T.A.
Yeah, most people just call me D.A.T.A. It's mad easy, mad short, so that's totally
But Art is dope too, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Thank you. But yeah, I got into this in 2020. Like a lot of people, I feel like there was a big jump in consciousness, obviously, with COVID around, and I got into Gematria right after the Kobe Bryant helicopter crash.
Oh wow!
And yeah, so I kind of started my awakening journey in 2019 before COVID. but I didn't have the numerology piece yet. It was more or less just getting my feet wet, figuring out that all the world powers funded the wars and stuff like that. But when the Kobe Bryant helicopter crash happened, I just really felt really off. It just didn't seem right. It seemed like it was out of nowhere. And then that's when I came across Zachary K. Hubbard's channel, Gematria Effect News, and that's when I started seeing the numbers within the equation. And what really took off for me when I knew, like, oh, there's something to it, was during the All-Star game. And I believe Kobe Bryant, one of the variations of Kobe Bryant is 157. I believe it might just be Kobe Bryant in English ordinal. And the score, so what they did during that All-Star game was actually have a specified point total where they actually won the game. And the actual point total, where I think it was Anthony Davis, he hit the 157th point to win the All-Star game. And so when I saw that happen, I'm like, of course, it's like a scripted ritual. And that's kind of how I got started. I don't necessarily stay within the lines of, Gematria Effect News anymore and stuff like that. I'm just that's where I started, and then that's when I started to take the practice and how I saw it myself and take it forward. So now I've mostly focused on, sports decodes within a documentary style type of way. I'm a documentarian by trade, so I like doing long form videos, researching, connecting the dots. But I also do gematria decoding with the stock market as well, and it's almost like the same concept.
And you have a Patreon for that, right?
And I do have a Patreon, Data Productions Media. I do premium sports documentaries every month that are 30 minutes long, lots of decodes, and I also do stock decodes. I have a dividend portfolio, all gematria based. We've been doing pretty well. We've been in the bear market the last year and a half, but we've still been producing numbers. But that's where I'm at with that, and I think I like to call it stocks and sports docs. Those are the two things to keep it simple, and those are the two lanes I feel like going forward in life, I can hone in on. Everybody in this gematria realm kind of has a different flavor. They like to focus on. So I decided to take the route of the stock market and sports documentaries.
That's wonderful, man. I like the long form. I like the, it does take, and I can imagine all the time, because I know how I've been editing for years and years. So I know how long it takes. Like, people don't realize how long these things take. And imagine adding now, he's actually the producer, the editor, you're actually doing all these things, and you're doing the decoding yourself too. So it's like, you know what I mean? I could imagine like the time and the dedication you take for this, so I appreciate, all you do. But yeah, man, like, I have a sort of a history with, like, I was a child, like, you know what I mean? Like, I used to get like premonitions and work with those, and I was always adding up the digits on the clock, so doing things like that and trying to ask it questions. So I was always like working with things, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing. You know what I mean? Like, I thought it was like weird. I never spoke to anybody about this. I know people have their own little quirks and stuff like that. But I would feel things like before sometimes they would happen, what I mean? So it was like, I knew there was some sort of gift there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm gonna say, oh, I predict everything, or I got the numbers. Like, people don't understand when you have these, when you work with these gifts, like, you're not gonna predict like the fucking, New York lottery, you're gonna be a million. It's like, it's what's around you. It's the surroundings,
exactly.
You know what I mean? And
it's the energies.
Right.
It's not really like how I see it. It's not necessarily about the prediction, because nobody's ever gonna be perfect in anything. It's like, whatever you're trying to do with gematria is put yourself in the right energetic position to make a move for whatever your situation is.
Correct.
It's just a tool. It's not the end all be all, but it's a very powerful tool at that. when did you when did the gematria portion click for you? You know, you said you had you kind of always had like the numerology.
Well, yeah, it was basically it's kind of bugged. Like I said, it's just been I play, you know, like being open-minded to everything, you know what I mean? Like even as a kid, like that's what I can remember. I'm not gonna say I was like a prodigy or anything like that or whatever. I was just a regular, you know, kid or whatever. I grew up in difficult circumstances, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like immigrant parents and stuff like that. But it's just like, you know, growing up in the 80s, you know what I mean? If you heard of New York in the 80s and stuff like that, very kind of like, you know, that latchkey kid, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, parents calling you, hey, you home already? You know what I'm saying? Like every 5 minutes type of stuff. But you know what I mean? Like always having like even so, like for example, I hope I'm not being like I'm not because I'm trying to think like the best way to say it. Like for example, I spoke to my mother the other day and she says, yeah, you know, I had to force you to like I was like I was always a good kid. No, I had to force you to freaking read. You were always like a daydreamer. You always got complaints by your teachers that you were a daydreamer. And I said, holy cow, that makes a lot of sense. Because that daydreaming helped me, you know what I mean? To like, okay, I couldn't use it in real life, but it was just like I knew something was out there bigger than us, you know what I mean? I was in Catholic school and all that stuff, you know, it taught you, you know, morals and values and all that. I'm not gonna just, you know, disgrace the whole learning and teaching. You got to take something out of it, you know, it's not me anymore. But, you know, that's my background. But getting into the gematria, I was working with my godmom, Sonia. I met her through, you know, ill circumstances. I was going through a lot of stuff, you know, in my personal life, and I met her, and I tell everybody, she's like, you know, she rescued me, you know, when I needed that help, you know what I mean? So I was kind of like, I have to give back. So I gave, you know, I had to pay that back. So I said, I'm gonna make you famous one day. She says, like, what are you talking about? I was like, that's what I do. Like, you know what I mean? Like I produce, you know, I edit and all that. And I'm gonna make you famous. There's this new thing on YouTube and I know what I'm doing. She's like, what are you talking? I was like, just let me record you. And we were getting like 100 subscribers. She's like, oh, this is not it. This is not it. And I'm like, trust me, just trust me where you're gonna be at. And I don't know why I kept telling her that. Like, we could have flopped. And here we are with like 365,000 subscribers. And I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm living like my life. I'm not, oh my God, super well-to-do and all that crap that comes along with. I'm comfortable, you know what I mean? But like, I'm helping people with her, you know, and I help her produce, I help her do that. Then I became like a shaman healer. Like, you know what I mean? Doing cleanings for people, you know, she's the reader, really. She does like the horoscopes and all that. But anyway, that's my story. But when I got to gematria, it was just like I was experimenting with like numbers, right? And I was just like, and I started finding these gematria codes and like the calculator, and it was actually through Zachary. You know what I mean? Everybody, I think, comes through Zachary. I think that's why.
At the end of the day, whether people want to believe, you know, acknowledge it or not, right. Zachary's, you know, teaching tree is pretty vast. So,
bro, every teacher right now that I've had, like mentor that I think are great people. I mean, other people, they might have other opinions or whatever, but bro, like you getting something out of it. It's like the same experience that I told you. I went through all like Catholic school and all stuff. Get something out of, get the positive out of it. You know what I mean? Whatever people think and feel, you know, of this or that. And it's just like, that's just the way he is. That's how he brought, you know, the numerology in the gematria to the world, you know what I mean? That's his character, you know what I mean? But we got to, you know, just give homage, and that's what he wants. He just wants respect. Like anybody else. Imagine you're doing something, you're like, yo, I started that, and nobody's bigging me up. Like, you will feel a certain way. So I get what he gets edgy like that, you know what I mean? And that's the type of person he is, and that's how he's gonna bring it to the world. He's, you know, that enlightening or whatever. So from there, I said, oh, I started plugging in numbers to, like, I was like investing in stocks just like you, and I started off with that, and I'm like, wait a minute, maybe I could plug in the gematria. And that's so funny because you say 2020, that's around the same time, right? So like even a little bit before then though, like 2019, like I started messing around with it, but I couldn't, it didn't click, and it didn't, like, I was like, what am I doing? Is this, like, I just didn't have a way to, you know, like to set up the patterns or whatever you want to call it. Then the whole crypto thing started coming, like, you know, popping off, and I'm like, I started putting money into crypto and all that, and I was like, maybe there's a way for Gematria. Let me try one more time. Like, I started just researching, you know, and I was like, let me try one more time. Maybe there's somebody out there that's explaining this stuff. You never know, right? And I fell into Waters Above's channel, Jordan. I fell into his channel. I'm like, wait a minute, there is a way. There is a way, and he's making it happen. And I'm like, this is dope. And then I found you know what I mean? So it's just like been like, and then I found Logan from DeCode Your Reality and all that stuff, you know what I mean? Jason from Archaics and all that stuff. And
those are big hitters, you know.
Yeah,
those are very smart dudes, very well researched, and they take a lot of different concepts and add it together to their picture. And there's a lot to learn from a lot of those people.
For sure, man, for sure. So I just like, you know what I mean? Like, so then I, you know, I'm getting to a level that I'm like, okay, I know, like, everything's just a method. This is one method one day, one method another day. When I started, like, maybe, I think it would be like, I think almost a year ago with the group that, you know, you've heard their podcast, the group that I'm in with them. So I just started messing around because I was like, you know what, like, let me try it with the astrology now. And I started doing it with the degrees of the planets and all that. And I tried it a couple days or 3 days. I was like, maybe there's something to it. But then something else, you know, comes right in front of you. And then the funny thing is, we have a member, and he says, oh, there's something called GAN. And that's how he produces, you know, the predictions through the numbers and the price. And I'm like, through like the degrees in astrology. And I'm like, wait a minute, I tried to do that. I didn't even know there was something out there for that, you know? So it's just like these downloads you get, you know what I mean, are not like, you know what I mean, it's supposed to be overlooked sometimes, you know?
Yeah, WD Gann, it's interesting. I've read a couple of his books, and you know, I think sometimes, like, because a lot of traders use his methods for trading, but in a lot of retrospects, in my opinion, at his time, what made him, you know, very special is he wasn't like a day trader. You really didn't day trade like that back in the day. He just was like a swing trader, but he knew like the alignments, and he was patient, and he just, you know, let his setups play out. You know, he was very confident within his work. He didn't over trade. He wasn't trying to overdo it. He just stuck to his plan, and he said, you know, sometimes it was there, sometimes it was not. I only needed a couple of trades a year to be in and out. Lots of things to take from WD Gann for sure.
Yeah, man, I'm trying to apply a lot of his work using also the Fibonacci, you know, retracements and all that. That's very helpful because obviously it deals with numbers. So yeah, man, that's where we at, you know, and it's been a journey, and I'm happy with this journey. I started this channel because of it, you know, because I was like, okay, all the stuff that I'm collecting, you know, like I might as well just talk about it, you know, like and just release it, yeah, and see how other people like feel about it, you know what I mean, like because everybody has their own way, their own path, and their own theory on how they think, you know, this gematria or numerology works, you know what I mean?
So for you, how do you feel like the gematria, like what, like, so I guess for example for me, like I'm really based off, I like to say I use like a 33 base. A lot of my work is focused on the permutations of the different permutations of 33. So obviously you have 33, 137, 330, 333, all those different types. And so that's where I base a lot of my work on, you know, for reasons, you know, the backbone, we have 33 vertebrae in our spine. You know, Jesus died at 33. Stories equals 33, and I feel like, you know, stories kind of rule the realm. In any culture, stories is the structure of how people think and the psyche. And
that makes sense because 33 is the master teacher, master influencer number. So that makes so much sense. Yes.
So what are some of the things you look towards when you?
I mean, like with 33. The
Just
number
in general, like
specific.
how what's like your
Well, it's
style
just
in your.
like, for example, my style is like kind of like using, I guess now the Fibonacci, but before that it was just like playing it kind of like in a synchronistic way, like seeing where it leads and how it leads me. So I don't go like by specific numbers really. It's just like for example, the whole LeBron score, for example, that 38,880 points, that led me to other things that were 38, and how 38 was like, you know, bleeding into like even things like when I was looking into like, you know, Bitcoin or some market or whatever was happening like in media or in the news or something. It just led me to those things. I said, wow, there has to be something here, you know. And then I saw, oh shit, like Bitcoin went down on like that last day on 3.8, for example, to 3.10. And I said, wow, like, you know, you could play along with these numbers. They, like how you said, it's like stories, you know what I mean? They're already telling you stories. They're influencing you. They're telling you like, pick up on this. You know what I mean? There's something here, you know. And that's how I play it. I've used it actually with the movies. I'm just kind of like experimenting really more than anything else, and I don't prohibit myself, you know,
100%.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
38's a very important number. You know, obviously, I say I'm a 33 base, but I work with all different numbers. But 38's important in almost all industries. I'm forgetting his name off the head, but I did an interview with him earlier this year. His name is Arthur as well. He's more into the sports gambling aspects of things. But he even brought up when I was interviewing, he looks for the 38s when looking for you know,
really?
sports scores and stuff like that. I'm blanking on his name. Like, he's very popular. He has a Patreon as well. But he predicted the Eagles being in the Super Bowl. And you were right about LeBron James hitting his 38,000 points. You know, Gematria equals 38. Energy equals 38. For the stock market, good stocks equals 38.
Wow.
So really, you know, there's a lot of numbers to look for, and 38 is a very powerful one for sure.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of repeating of the 13. And you know, 13 and 31 has been huge for me this year, and the number 65. So obviously, you know, you have 65 and 38. You know, that's actually, you know, it's just an 11. You know, so I could say, I always say 11 always follows me. It's part of my birthday. It's part of, like, you know, even the building number where I was born, like it was part of the 11th floor. The zip code was the same. The longitude was the same. It's like insane. It's always been following me, the number 11, for some reason. So it's like
interesting.
So I said, maybe it's that, or maybe they like my guides wanted me to like check it out. You know, maybe there's something there or whatever. But yeah, man, I keep my mind open. Let's put it that way.
You definitely, because you never know what rabbit hole you could go down. You could find like a different angle to help out your life. One thing I do feel like sometimes when people do come across this knowledge, I mean, usually most people that start using Gematria are some level of, you know, having some level of intelligence, you know, mentally. Now, sometimes, you know, personalities and emotionally EQ is different, where sometimes people can get caught up believing that however they process the Gematria information is the absolute way. And there's a lot of orthodox Gematria decoders out there that strictly stick to you know, the old school ways, like, you know, the old Masonic ways, you know, the old mystery school ways. And while they do hold a lot of weight, that obviously there is pillars of the you know, of the craft. It's not the only pillars, and it drastically limits to what you can see if you just base it off, you know, what the Jesuits are using or the Masons are using and whatnot.
Right. Well, the original way was to actually, I think, decipher the Hebrew Bible. It was to decode it somehow numerologically. Like I think there's evidence in the movie Pi. I don't know if you've seen that. That it was like a black and white movie that
I know the scene though. I've seen that scene multiple times.
Right. So that's the original way. I mean, like, you could debate it all day. Like, people debate all day. They say, oh, you know, it's just a calculator to do that specific thing. But I look at it like it's just numerology to me. Like, it's beyond obviously just gematria, you know what I mean? Like, and then I mean, I hold a lot of weight on the calculator itself, because I feel like you see like all this AI shit come out right now. Like, I
Yeah.
feel that's the original AI right there, bro. Like the original Chat GPT, bro. Like, sometimes if you use it correctly, you know what I mean, the paths that it
Exactly.
leads you to, you know what I mean. So there's a lot of angles you could take, this, like decoding and stuff like that, like how you say.
Exactly. I think people, whatever style they use, I think most can agree is numbers are really just like archetypes. 1 through 9, they're archetypes of energy, and whatever energy that specific number it gets expressed to the world, and you add them together, they obviously they create a different concoction of energies, and that's essentially how I see it. It's in my opinion, it can get super complicated, but it's super simple at the same time. In
How do
most
you
cases,
organize all your, like, speaking of data, your name is data, is the perfect question. How do you organize all these phrases? I've seen, like, I have now I met Raised by Wolves. He has a channel about decoding and using the Gematria calculator and everything into crypto, especially Hex, if people want to watch it. But he does it like in the way he's just like do, and it will be like a phrase, and then that phrase will turn into a sentence, and I'm like, he's going beyond. And I've seen you do that too. Like, how do you organize like all this data, man?
So I do like to use phrases and longer things as well. Data does stand for dreams are tangible aspirations. If nobody knew that when they see this, dreams are tangible aspirations. But how I come up with the phrases and stuff like the long sentences, again, it comes back to the energy of the world we live in. If I'm using the English ordinal cipher, and I speak English, so when I say something, a specific energy is casted out, and there's specific pillars in the world. So really, in my mind, when I try to find something, it's usually like a specific phrase. So, like, for example, the stock market was created on May 17th, 1792. Now, that was the 138th day of the year. But if that was a leap year, every other year, every three out of the 4 years, it's the 137th day of the year. But the phrase "a stock market" equals 137 in English ordinal. So, that's just like a quick example of where just things align energetically, and it doesn't have to be anything, too complicated. I feel like if you want a specific type of energy to be cast out in the universe, it sometimes it just matches up correctly. I feel like for some reason, a stock market was always supposed to equal 137, and it was going to be birthed essentially on 137 day. It's just kind of how things work, I guess. That's how I guess the universal,
blueprint, right? Like, you think it was on purpose, right? Like, sometimes the way you look at things, like it was planned out in a way too.
And when I say on purpose, like even over whoever the matrix controllers are, it's just the synchronizations of the universe, the grand architect, whoever that is. We're in a big, AI simulation, and I just think we're just playing it out.
For sure, man, for sure. You made me think of like how, like it has that 137 tied to it, but it's like, if you see all the key words that are tied to, stock market, you look at chart, trading, course, currency, all these words like play along with like, like waters, you know what I mean? Like that's why, waters above put me onto that. Like, if you think of it in that, symbolically, it's the same thing. That's what they're doing. You know what I mean? Banks. It's like you could think of a water bank. Channels. When you're looking at like, a trading chart, there's channels in there, like
a float, your shares outstanding, your float.
Right. Right. It's amazing. Like, you know, and then nobody teaches us this. And then we kind of like come on our own, doing our own research or by chance or whatever, synchronicity. And we find these things. And now I'm like, I'm imagining, like, of course, it changed your life, right?
It definitely did. It helped me see a lot more. And it's funny, like when you come into it's almost like you feel naked. Like you don't when I use it, I know I don't need it. Like, you know, I can make investing decisions without Gematria, but at the same time, it's like, why wouldn't I just see what's under the hood real quick to make sure if it's really what I think it is, you know? And then it's funny because there's a lot of smart people in Wall Street out there and whatnot that don't use this knowledge. And you know, I can imagine, or well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know, but I feel like I know like people who work in the finance industry and they see my stuff and they don't know anything about it. But I can only imagine if they took the time to sit down and try to figure it out themselves, where they could, you know, go in their career and whatnot.
Exactly, but you know, they like whatever they say that billionaires use, you know, astrology, numerology. You know what I mean? J.P.
Morgan, that's
yeah.
One of my favorite phrases of all time, and it's true. And it's like small little quotes and things like that they just, you know, that they're just getting tossed out there that people really don't pick up on. You know, a billion people have heard that quote before, but how many people have really just took the time for a second to understand what that means? When you see companies be started up on specific dates, you know, I'm sure you see. It sounds like you've been in the consulting, you know, esoterics for other people. There's a lot of CEOs out there that go to astrologers and energy workers.
Oh, for sure. I've had a couple of lawyers, you know what I mean, like you know what I mean, doctors and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I've had my fair share, man. Yeah, they do believe in it, and then people, like normal people, are like, nah, that's like, oh, is it satanic? Is this? Is that? I'm like, are you serious? You just don't understand the knowledge. You don't understand the science. Like, I've been like, you know, the black sheep of the family, you know, everybody, you know, they look at me a certain way, you know what I mean? They try to love me as much as they can, you know, they accepted me through the years, but still, it's like, it got to the point when I got to a bar, like, should I tell this person I'm trying to mac it to that I, you know, what I work in? Because, women are right away, like, have certain ideas or whatever, or they think that you're gonna take the power, the knowledge that you have, and use it against them. And it's just like, I understand, because a lot of people do threaten people like that, you know, and they put that panic on top of their head, like in their brain or whatever. But I've tried to be as honest as possible in what I do, you know what I mean? Like, but I don't really tell people all that stuff. Like, I'm sharing all this now, like, stuff about myself now, you know what I mean? I don't really tell people what I do, you know what I mean? Like, in that way when they meet me in person, you know?
That's very interesting. I know you're you know, you said you grew up in the 80s, so you are definitely older than me, and I'm sure your experiences growing up with this knowledge has you know, been a little bit tough because of the perceptions. But I feel like, you know, as we've come along, a lot of people are changing, and to the women aspect, you know, there's kind of, my age is a running joke, you know, a lot of ladies my age, they're into astrology. They don't, you know, it's basically, you know, the personal astrology. It's not too deep, and while I do have my fair share of people that really don't resonate with it, I've been blessed. While I am still like the black sheep of my family, I'm blessed that, you know, a lot of my family members, my friends, accept, you know, who I am, as long as I'm, you know, working hard, trying to, you know, provide, you know, positive energy to my community and stuff. They don't really care that much, even if they don't fully understand it. I've explained, you know, some gematria to my family. They understand how 33 is important to our life. My last name's Turner, 33. Football number was 33. My best years of my life when playing football. I never knew about gematria. And on the ladies aspect, sometimes, depending on who the lady is, I throw some gematria out there, you know, as flirting tactics and stuff, because you can find it. Like, it's just energy at the end of the day. So right. I can find stuff to use to, you know.
Yeah, I'd rather do that. Just tell me your math, and I'll you know, I'll break you down or whatever. But I'm not telling you I'm a shaman, healer, tarot reader, all that. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You get
Yeah.
you'll get those looks or whatever. But I see your Art Turner actually equals to 31 in the Chaldean.
Oh, does it?
Yes, you see how that you know what I mean. That number followed me again towards
Mhm.
you. You know what I mean. 31 is tied to finances, man, and that's what you're doing.
How do you feel about the Chaldean cipher? It's a very powerful
I
one in my
think it's just
opinion.
like from my research, it's one of the oldest. I think if not the oldest from those times. Obviously, it could be compared to like the Sumerian. Is also just probably as traditional or whatever in a sort of way. I'm trying to just open myself up more and more to other ciphers, but I'm really liking using the Fibonacci, the Chaldean, and obviously the four main ciphers, obviously, and primes. But as of recent, like I should come out with like release as just one piece, but I started like using all of them in some sort of way, just see what is out there with all of them and what I could connect it to in my decode and stuff like that. Just being open,
Yeah, I still need to do more research. I'm happy you brought up the Sumerian, the Chaldean. Those are definitely older ciphers, and I look towards those. I look towards the Chaldean more than the Sumerian, and it's not
Right.
because I don't. I feel like before, like each cipher is almost like a different tool in the toolbox. And before I go out and try to teach it to another person via video and stuff like that, I try to make sure I've internalized it and learned as much as I can about it before I go out into the world and give it to somebody. Like for example, before Derek changed the Gematria Native website and changed the Francis Bacon and the Francis Bacon ciphers to just capitals capital mixed. I did a huge presentation on the Francis Bacon ciphers and how I broke those down. How there's a lot of connections within the NBA history and the NBA storylines. When you think of Francis Bacon, you think of William Shakespeare, the mythology behind that, and whatnot. And it's really how I see it as kind of like a scripting cipher that the NBA uses a lot. And so definitely you just got to test things out and whatnot. The Fibonacci cipher is another one I've done research on, but it's such a complex cipher. I need to do more. There was this method I kind of was messing with. It's where I type in, so I could kind of figure out, I could kind of predict, or I could kind of figure out where a stock price would be, years down the line via typing it in the Fibonacci Gematria calculator. And so what I would do is I could go to the birth date of a stock, or almost any date a stock price is at, and I use that number, and I say in the Fibonacci, let's just say Tesla. $38 tripled with the stock ticker symbol, and I would go get the number, whatever the Fibonacci number spits out, and then I would use that number as the day span. And then so what I would do, I would take whatever specific date I used in that decode, and I would span it out with that Fibonacci number, and it gets pretty accurate on like the doubling of the price, the tripling of the price, the squaring of the price, and it's really within a small window of margin of error, where in the stock market you just kind of have to be sort of right. You don't have to be super specific and predictable on a specific day. If you can just get within your margins, you can still make a lot of money, and that's something I could definitely.
If you get close enough, that's good enough, right?
Exactly. That's what all the investors say. Close enough is good enough. You're never going to get the exact top when you want to sell. You're never going to buy the exact bottom all the time when you're trying to get in. And if you try to do that, if you try to have that mentality, you're going to lose money.
That's true, man. But yeah, like as of recent, I just been playing around with the with like just using the letters. Okay, the basic, I guess you would call it the ordinal, right? Just you getting the most basic way you could do it on your own. Like let's say, okay, I have a person come by, like I'm thinking of something, or I'm reading something, and I'll say, or whatever, philosophy. Then I'll go, okay, P is like the 16th letter. A is, you know, H. I do it in my head. Use a regular calculator sometimes. Like obviously when I'm almost gonna knock out and go to sleep and stuff like that, I can't look at it, you know, much. But I like to do brainstorming like that because it gives me a little bit more of ideas. You know what I mean? Instead of just always relying on the calculator itself, you know, the Gematria calculator itself, I kind of just try to do it on my brain, just using just regular whatever, like A is 1, you know, B is 2, you know, obviously, like, and on and on.
100%. 100%. Reading has helped me. Growing up, I was an athlete. I played college football for 2 years. Played football for 13 years of my life.
Wow.
That took up a lot of my time. And so for myself, when
is that why I've seen some videos where you're like overseas somewhere, and like I think you're doing some sports stuff too, right?
So more backstory. So I after I played football, I decided, I was blessed. I went to a school where we had a travel abroad program. I got my degree in business, and I went and traveled abroad in London for 6 months, London, England for 6 months. And I was able to travel to the different countries, go to sports events and go to the football matches over there and stuff. So I'm definitely blessed, and it definitely helped shape who I am today. I've lived everywhere. I'm from the East Coast, Pennsylvania. I've lived in St. Louis, Missouri, the Midwest, California, San Diego, LA.
Is this all through football?
No. So just life, like, my family, my dad's job, just, moving different positions within his company.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That's cool, man. That you got to see, like, basically all of United States, some parts, of other parts of the world. It's very, very important, man. I recommend everybody just go see stuff. You know what I mean? It's gonna change, your horizon and stuff, especially when you're young, man. Like, and you want more of it, and then you come back and you kind of like appreciate what you have and see why people really like where you're from, or and they have the interest about you, like, oh, you're American, or you're from this state or whatnot, and like you have the same curiosity about them, so it's like it's so 100%. Cool, man.
You said you were an immigrant. Have you been able to travel?
Well, yeah, my parents, they came here when they were like in their like 30s, 20s, around there, to New York. But yeah, man, I just got into like traveling after college, really. But within college, I was just, do the regular stuff that people do. They go to Miami, spring break, and all the little crap. But I visited stuff that I would have never thought, like, if I didn't go away to school, was I visited like Syracuse, Binghamton, Buffalo, you name it. Like, we went out there. We went to like, the Buffalo, the corners of Canada. We went up to like Montreal and stuff like that. So I saw a lot of like New York, and most surprising was Buffalo. Like, when you hear Griselda, bro, like, I don't know if people are on, like, your fans are on Griselda or whatever, but that's like, I knew that from back in the day. Those dudes they're hard out there, bro.
Interesting.
Like, when they bring it, like, when they say they suckers, because they're from Buffalo, nah, go out to Buffalo, yo. You don't want to mess around, bro.
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
Yo.
You know what I love about, people give America a crap. We obviously, every country in the world has their issues somewhere. But what I like, or what's interesting about America, is almost every state is like a different country.
Yes.
You get a way different culture, a way different view, a way different landscape, scenery. And so when I talk to people, when they want to say, oh, I want to, travel abroad in Europe and stuff, that's great. Please do that. But don't demonize, America, especially if you haven't travel to different spots, because you can still get a lot of that experience within home, and you don't have to carry your passport with you everywhere.
It's true. I just got back from a wonderful trip. I went out to Phoenix for the first time in my whole life. It was amazing. Like,
hot.
Yes, hot, and it wasn't that hot yet, because they told me it gets up to like 110 degrees, but those days were kind of moderate for them, so it went up to like maybe 94, 93. You know what I mean? But I got
Yeah.
to see. I went to a Native American reservation. I was privileged enough to like go visit and see, you know, how they live. They gave me a tour of like, you know, their, you know, the real stuff, the untouched like lakes and rivers and mountains that ain't nobody going up there unless you got permission from them. You know what I mean? And it's like it's still intact and it looks gorgeous. So I got to see that. And just even on the way there, like through the mountains, like I told my friend, I was like, bro, like you don't even need to do shrooms, bro. Like you just look at these mountains, they're so psychedelic, they're coming at you. It's amazing. It's like I'm like I get a like looking at a painting, but it's like you're driving, but they're like literally like in your eyes. Like I don't know how to explain it, bro. Like looking at like a painting from like really like up close and stuff like that, like seeing all the like, you know, the differences between the 3D shapes and whatever, whatnot. It was like I've never seen that in my life. And I've been to Machu Picchu. I've been to like Peru out there, and I was like, this stuff, like, wow. Like it compares, it's like parallel to me, like as important, to be honest, because that's how I feel about mountains. But I got to do that.
Question as a shaman. So you say you're a shaman and stuff. So what is your opinion on psychedelics and people?
I love them, yo. Like
I like them too. You know, I've tried mushrooms a couple of times. I've done acid. I want to try, you know, ayahuasca at some point in my life.
It's very difficult. I'll tell you about ayahuasca, right? Even myself, right? And like I've looked for it. I was out in Peru going crazy. Like they were giving me chuchuasi. So you go to the certain local spots and they'll tell you like, yeah, it's the same effect, but it's more like a drink, you know, it's not, I didn't really feel nothing, like, to be honest, but you have to prepare yourself to do ayahuasca. It's no joke, guys. This is not something like, you know, you're just doing a cap or two or whatever, or eighth, you know what I mean? This is the whole day type of thing. It could like even be up to 2 to 3 days, the effects, you know what I mean? Sometimes depending on like who gives it to you, but you're gonna throw out all those toxins. That's what people don't realize, you know. You're gonna throw up a lot, you know. Imagine like how you do when you do shrooms, like you feel that queasiness, you know what I mean? But it's more extreme, you know. So you got to be ready for that shit. Like I wouldn't recommend it for just anybody. You know, you have to cut meat, you know what I mean? Very specific. You got to cut meat, any type of meats or whatever. Just water, and just like, you know, trying to fast a little bit before you do it. That's another suggestion, you know what I mean? But it's just like, I mean, I've seen it, like the studies that they've done, how it's helped like even alcoholics and drug addicts, and you could take it even up to there. You could have also the spiritual experience. I think to me, shrooms is just good enough, like, to be honest. If you don't want to take it there, you know, of course you got the toad, you know what I mean? You got Mike Tyson talking about the toad all the time, and that's, I wouldn't touch that, bro. Like that's very special.
The abuse, I'm hearing there's a lot of abuse in that.
I had a client, she's a goddaughter of mine, and she did the toad, and she came running to us. She said, oh my God, I saw them. They were trying to take my spirit and having all these big hallucinations, because obviously that's what it makes you do. And I was like, obviously those people weren't good, like, you know, they weren't really authentic shaman. They were just doing it for like the, you know, like an event. Oh, here, you charge people to come in. Yeah, exactly. They make it, they paint like a pretty picture. You're all wise, meditation, all this crap. But that's, if you're coming out with that experience, you know, like, I wouldn't recommend it. I would never do it. And I've done, like, I'll be honest, like, I've never said this to anybody. I've done LSD one time. I was, you know, and all that stuff. That's another thing, obviously, is chemically made. It's not for everybody, you know. Like, I did it in Bahrain. I don't know if you heard of Bahrain. It's like close to Saudi.
Okay.
Yo, it's crazy. I never shared this story, but anyway, like I was hearing that, like in the morning time when, like, you know, you hear the prayers. I was like, wow. Like I really thought I was talking to God, bro. Like on LSD, bro. But that's another story. I hope nobody thinks I'm crazy. These are just my experiences, get my own spiritual awakenings, but like these are hardcore things, man. Like I would stick with like microdosing shrooms. I would stick to those little things. And if you really want to take it there, you find a person that you could really confide in. Maybe, okay, yes, okay, you could try ayahuasca if you're gonna help you in some sort of way, if you feel like it is. But I'll stick to shrooms, man.
100%. And I try to challenge people as well. Is like there are ways to to reach higher levels of awakening, enlightenment, different dimensions, even being sober, of just focusing on yourself and stuff. For myself, I love weed, marijuana.
Okay,
but at
we
the
get
same
along.
time,
We get along then.
yeah. Currently, right now, I'm trying to challenge myself. I'm trying to challenge myself to see I can do the same. Obviously, I know I can do the same things not being high, but it's more or less trying to awaken myself to another level without that type of medication and stuff, because it's more or less the power within inside yourself of what you can do, and not always letting something else do it for you. Be the driver. Everybody needs to be the driver for themselves.
But it's just like the same thing. Like, you're younger than me, right? So it's like, I'll never forget somebody told me, oh, stop, you should don't smoke cigarettes, and you thinking they're telling you for a reason. That's a great way to think. You're young, you don't want to like be the rest of your life doing something that you have to be clear sometimes, and I'm talking about experience. I'm like a person that I smoke every day, you know what I mean? Like, and I would suggest, if I was the younger me, like, hey, yo, bro, like, cut it out. Like, you don't like need as much, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it was only, I think, Corona time that messed me up, to be honest, bro, because this whole period, like, obviously you're indoors all the time, and it's just like, I upped the habit, bro. I got like really into it. Like, I was always the person that was like, okay, when I'm done with work, okay, I'll take a toke or two and blah, blah, blah. But now it's like, I don't even recognize myself, to be honest. So it's good that you bring that up. You have to be clear, you have to look for that clarity, like, in some sort of way. And
maybe one time we sit down for a sesh one day. I'd be happy for that. It's funny, during COVID time. So like, I'm a person that when everybody starts, it's the conspiracy mindset. When everybody starts going left, I start going right. They go the other way, I'm going this way. So when COVID happened, I decided myself to take like a long break just from smoking weed, because I saw what it was like, which is the different things like weed, alcohol, a lot of the things that were still being pushed upon the collective while we were in that struggling state. And I looked at myself and I was like, I need to see what's going down in the world right now with as wide-eyed, sober, eyes wide open as possible.
That's great.
It was a crazy time. I probably some of the craziest times in history. And I just
I've spoken to a lot of people that they say they've gotten awakened during Corona, like something within them got awakened. Like they want to be more spiritual. They want to learn more, about like the cosmos or whatever, whatnot. Like, like I spoke to a couple people like that, and it's like, and it's good because you saw other people dealing with it in the, going left with, like you said, is like they like, you know what I mean, like it took a downturn for them, you know what I mean? Their life was over. Like, I remember even before, like, you remember Sandy that hit over here in New York?
Mm-hmm,
that big thing, right? And I said, look, I'm gonna be this person right now. I'm gonna follow myself. I'm gonna stop following like everything else that's happening, whatever. And I was always like that. Me and my friend would live like, after college, we didn't have cable, we didn't have this, but in that point right there, like right before it, I said, I don't know what it was. And I told my guy, I was like, yo, we were doing a store. The owner wanted to, I don't know if you've seen in New York, they have those botanicals, you go in and they have like, you know what I mean, like statues. You could buy little statues, like religious statues, beads, and all that, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I was doing, and he wanted to transfer it over to me because he was leaving to Cuba, and he was my mentor too, aside from Sonia. But anyway, he would like at that point I said, no, we have to go this way right now, because I don't know, I had this feeling, bro, that it just thought like, and it was also a vision that I had, that I saw a lot of water by like the FDR, you know, the famous like highway that you hear in New York. Yeah. And I was like, yo, something's gonna go down. I don't know what it is, but we gotta be good, And I said, let's turn everything that we're doing now, we're gonna do it online now, you know what I mean? And just develop this. And I was like, bro, if I didn't do that at that point in my life, like Like, what do I would have been going crazy like everybody else during like COVID and shit like that. During
Intuition,
the lockdowns.
man. It's
Yes.
just like inside your being inside your subconscious, your internal side told you.
Yeah, and I was telling people, I was like, yo, move online. This is back, I don't even remember the date of Sandy or whatever, but around that date, I started telling friends, I'm like, yo, move, you know, start building a business online, start doing this. Like, and look how everything's turned. Like, everything is turned for that. Like, nobody wants to, like, go to a store. Nobody wants to do all these little things. Everything's just basically online, you know?
And what I hear is New York's still kind of, you know, going through
it's banged up, bro. It's like it's over, bro. Like a lot of people say it might be over, bro. Like in a certain way, it's gonna take a while, man. Like this, so like first of all, like
it's cooked.
Man.
You're saying New York's cooked
for now, at least.
For
like
now.
I'm not saying forever, at least. You know what I mean? So the money comes back, but even the high rents, like I don't know if you, I follow this one guy, Louis Rosman. I don't know if you heard, he's like a commentator, and he talks, you know, he used to fix computers and all this stuff. So every now and then I listen to him because he does commentary on the shit that people don't really talk about in New York, like the MTA, that, you know, all the shit that they're funneling all this money, like, you know, it's like a freaking mafia. So all this property tax now that New York is losing out on, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Nobody's back yet in that sort of way. Like, they're charging $25,000 for like 1,500 square feet or whatever. And he's like, this is outrageous. He left. Like most people did. All these businesses left because of this reason. Nobody could afford it. Who else is going to afford that kind of money? What do you have to be selling, like, you know what I mean, in order to make it as you're a business owner? So a lot of people left. I know a lot of people that left, bro. Like, it's crazy. And then it's like, you know, obviously, you know, you deal with other things, crime and stuff like that. But for me, the most thing that I said, wow, we're over this. It was the drugs back in the 80s, man. Like, that was really bad out here. Like 90s, bro. You've heard the stories. You've seen the movies, how it was in New York. And it's like, this could be potentially back again to the same shit. Like even like going outside, like, you know, as the safety that you were once getting used to, now you got to be like, oh shit, I really got to watch my back again, yo. Like, you know what I mean? You don't know who's pulling up on you. You don't know what's going on. Like, you have like motor scooters on the sidewalks. Like, you know, like literally motor scooters. I saw this kid, like he almost killed this lady yesterday. He almost knocked her to the ground. It's like, and there's no rules, bro. It's wild.
So
bro.
he's just like, riding motor scooters just on the sidewalk.
On the sidewalks, be wild shit, bro. They, yo, it's crazy. I mean, of course, I live, you know, in the hood and shit, bro. You know what I mean? But it's some wild stuff that you encounter, bro. And it's like, you know, obviously Corona with the whole shit, they started making fake plates. I don't know if you heard about that. Like, so they could skip over like the tolls and shit like that. People were broke, you know what I mean? Like not paying insurance and shit like that, getting cars out of nowhere, and like wild stuff, man. It's like Wild West out here sometimes.
You know, it's interesting because I hear. Again, a lot of you have to be wary of what goes out in the mainstream news, like what fear propaganda and stuff. But it's interesting, a lot of the symbolism that's going down right now with America, New York, and astrology. So I'm sure you know about like the Pluto returns and stuff like that.
Right.
America is going to their first Pluto return next year.
Oh my God, this is good because I wanted to talk to you about that. But go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So America is going through their first Pluto return next year. And back in history, if you look at the different empires astrologically, the ones who were able to live long enough as empires that, like, you know, you look at Rome has went through like 3 different Pluto returns. And at every moment when the Pluto returned, a new regime was coming in. You know, something crazy was happening. Same thing happened with France. I think they got 1 Pluto return in there.
Well, they're going through now, right? Like with the whole French Revolution, is the same thing, right? The same timeline, and you see what's going over there with like with the protests and everything. Yeah, for sure, man. Because I did see that one of your videos, and also you mentioned also Neptune, and it dealing with like the whole stock market. I remember watching one of your videos. You were talking about that too, man. Yeah, it's important work, man.
Getting big, like nuclear power. So you know, obviously Pluto's entering in Aquarius. Is actually in retrograde right now for a couple more days before it goes back until it gets back. It goes back to Taurus for like another year. Then next year it's back to Aquarius for like another, you know, I think what, 20 some years or whatever. I don't know. But then you have nuclear power coming with Neptune soon. You have banks being a big ordeal as well. So we're going through a lot. There's a lot of different changes. I still need to study a lot more astrologically. Like, my background's not in astrology. But I look at the planets to see where they're going, and then I'll start formulating my thesis on those.
Yeah,
so
like I tell people on my channel, I'm not an astrologer. I'm not a professional, this, that, the third. I'm just learning just like you. I'm just developing my own theory, and I'm seeing my own pattern recognition, and I leave it up to you to, like, you know, decipher on your own, get your own, like, opinion out of it. You know what I mean? For sure,
and,
I get that, man. But it is a lot of, you know, importance in the, you know, in the charts, whatever astrology is too, you know what I mean? It's good to implement that in your work, obviously, you know?
It's foreign. Like, when people do those actual, like, chart thing, like, I forget what they're called, but they would actually apply in points, and you're like, okay, that's a foreign language to me. So, like, when people say, oh, Gematria, what you're trying to tell me is foreign language, that's foreign language to me. I don't know what I'm looking at all. But I want to get into that because it only could help, you know, make the picture more clear.
Yeah, once, like, and it makes total sense. Like, when I started like trying to decode the whole Pluto and Aquarius, for example, and this is so weird. Like, I typed this in, and I said, okay, we're gonna get the first glimpse, and I typed it in Twitter, and I said, I don't know why I thought of, like, Mad Max. I don't know if you've seen, like, the original versions, like with I think we're in the Thunderdome with Tina Turner. So I used her as a GIF, as like a meme or whatever, and she says, "Death is coming." And then I looked at it, I'm like, holy shit, she died a couple months later. It was so weird, yo. I'm not saying anything to do with, like, I predicted that, but I was like, this is bugged. And all I was saying is, right. Maybe I felt it, I don't know. And all I'm saying is, like, Pluto and Aquarius, Pluto, obviously, you know, like I've said it numerous times in my videos, you know, obviously tied to Scorpio. It's the rebirth, right? Rebirth in what? In technology. All these old ass technologies are going away. That's what I'm saying. That's why I compared it to the number 65, because what's his name? Adam Driver came out with that movie. It was like a space movie, or he went back in time. He went back 65 million years ago. So I compared that to the banks, right? The dinosaurs, they're out of here, bro. Like, you know what I mean? And like the whole technological.
March 7th.
Yeah.
What happened March 7th? So March 7th, what was that transition? I think it was when Pluto transitioned to Aquarius. I think it was March 7th. I'm blanking what happened, but that's when Silicon Valley Bank crashed. Yes. And that's when all the bank crashes started to happen. And so it's very interesting how the energies play out, because a lot of us in this realm, again, we're not always going to be spot on with the dates, but we feel it. Like, we feel the energy shift, the portal shift. Like, with date numerology on specific days, you know how you go on the Gematria calculator and they have the different date numerologies. A lot of the times those numbers are very important for that specific day, and you'll see in the news, in your life, whatever number those are, you know, very key numbers. And I equate it to, like, each day, like, a different portal opens up on Earth where just certain numbers are more powerful than the other, and whatnot. I just try to visualize that in my head, what that would look like, but that's how I see things. You know, every day is like a new portal to a different type of energy that can come out.
Yeah, for sure, bro. It's like they all connect in some way. Even if you think, oh, the number 2 won't be connected to the number whatever 96, somehow you'll make a connection to that. And it's even like going back to the whole 65, that movie 65. It something egged me on. I said in the video, like, to come out with this video, come out with this decoy. I was like, it'll probably be in, you know, nothing. The movie already came out. But then I said no, but I had a lot of work on that, so I was like, all right, let me just do it. And it's so funny because I had to do it, because that same dude, Adam Driver, came out with that other movie Trainwreck that came out months before, and look what happened months later. We had all those train wrecks, And in that movie, it's basically that. It's like this gaseous thing. It was a train wreck in the movie, and it was just like this gaseous explosion that went into the air, and people had to evacuate and all this stuff. I'm like, and look at all the train wrecks that's happened like after that.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, wow, I'm onto something. And
Movies,
I
man.
yeah, for sure. They kind of tell you. And then the funny part is, if you go watch it, and it was actually not a bad movie. Mm-hmm. And I forget, White Noise is the name of the movie. And he goes, he's like this professor, but he's this kind of like this like Shakespearean like type of flamboyant, like the way he like talks and stuff like that about death. And he's wearing this cloak on death, and I'm like, holy shit, this shit makes so much sense. Pluto is coming in Aquarius. All these like, you know, themes that you start seeing in the movies, they play out kind of like in a real way, bro. It's amazing. You know, and I thought I was bugging myself out. I thought it was crazy. I was like, why am I using movies to do this or that? And no, it makes total sense.
Makes too much sense. To the movie point, after I came awakened to the movies, what the deeper symbolism is, I have found so much more interest in movies now. And my theory is, you know, I can't prove it, but I can only go based off of my experience, me being, you know, a filmmaker, how I set things up myself and how I research. I do believe a lot of these directors, producers, they go through some type of mystery school before they come out with these films, so they can understand, they can convey these symbolisms to the general public. And one of the examples, which is kind of freaky, the Warner Brothers, Warner Brothers Studios, hands down, probably the GOAT of filmmaking from even back to the 1930s. They produced a lot of the classic films that a lot of people remember. They have HBO and all those different spin-offs. In my opinion, HBO has been the most consistent, you know, premium TV, premium movie producer in American history. And it starts from the beginning, because there was 5 Warner Brothers, and one of the Warner Brothers, I think his name was Sam Warner, he created the very first talking movie, The Talkie. And there was just a lot of ritual practices with this family. And so the day before the very first Talkie was released, the debut, Sam Warner died. They said he died from like a heart attack. It was like obviously one of those mysterious events, and none of the family members went to the debut, and they just kept deaths kept piling up in this family. And interesting enough, George Lucas is the one that made Star Wars, correct?
Yes.
So, and he is under the Warner Brothers umbrella. So what transpired is, at age 22, which is a big number, after one of the last Warner Brothers retired and got out of the business, George Lucas got the Warner Brothers scholarship at age 22 to start his internship at Warner Brothers Studio and stuff like that.
Oh wow! So he started with Warner Brothers? I didn't even know that part. Like he pitched the films out in Warner Brothers. Okay.
Yeah, isn't Lucasfilms?
Well, it got taken over by Disney now, but
but
before then, I could imagine. You're probably right, Ivan. I just didn't know that. My bad.
Mm-hmm. So, 100%. It was George Lucas that had that scholarship under Warner Brothers at age 22. That's where he started off. And I believe, you know, they probably taught him a lot, because if you look back at the Star Wars, you know, there's a lot of symbolisms. You look at the Marvel movies now. The last Marvel movie I saw was the Spider-Man universe one, with like the 3 different Spider-Mans.
I went to see that at the theater. It's funny to say with my nephew.
Did you remember the scene where they're in the desert around the Grand Canyon? It was versus Doctor Strange and the young Spider-Man, and they were battling. Doctor Strange had him in like this, you know, trap matrix portal and whatnot, and the young Spider-Man was trying to get out of it. What does the young Spider-Man say? Oh, I have to use like numerology, yada yada yada, to break the code and stuff like that. And what he does, bam, he gets out of it, you know.
Oh my God, you put me on. I like that. I overlooked that. Like I was with my nephew, man, eating popcorn.
And yeah, it's like things like that. Like the average, person,
That's
they
crazy. I
they
didn't
go to
catch
these
that.
movies. They're so fanatic about these movies,
Right.
and they don't even know what they're watching. Like they're just generating all this energy. I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying there's just so many like messages that the average person's never picking up.
For sure, man. But then, like now, when you have this knowledge and you go back and you watch those movies, like I could imagine, like all the information that you overlooked,
fun,
like, and then you look at it in a different way,
It's fun. Bird Box, another one. Netflix. Obviously, you can always look at Black Mirror and all those predictive programming. But Bird Box.
But
I think that came out in 2019. Like it's the first scenes. What happened? On the TV, they're saying some mysterious virus coming from the east, from China, and what pops off? Everybody's inside. Nobody can go outside. And if you go outside with open eyes, what happens? You die, or aka you get demonized, and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody turns on you.
The
Mad
great
Max,
separation.
Mad Max, bro.
Yeah.
Everybody's fighting for the same thing, like how we fought over toilet paper, or whatever.
Oh man.
Everybody.
And that's it. Yeah. It was. I think COVID was a great separation. When we talked about earlier, there was like a fundamental shift on Earth where some people decided that even if they weren't fully ready for all the more truths, but they decided that they were eventually going to learn them, as the years progressed. But there was another subset of people that kind of just blocked off any of that type of energy, and they're kind of just in that lower vibration realm, and that's just what it is for them. And that's what I kind of see with old friends, some family members, where not saying they agree with everything I speak with, but they're at least open to it. They're cognizant of it, and during their time on this earth, still they'll try to figure out some of those problems themselves. But there's other people that you
bro, I'm just so happy, and I'm pissed at the same time because I revealed my age. I revealed my elderliness. No, I'm kidding. I'm not that old, but you know what's the most beautiful? You know why I contacted you, bro? Is because like there's that you got these older heads that like, oh, look at the youth and look what they're doing and blah blah blah. And I'm not saying you're not super young either, but you're still young, you're still adapting, and like you're doing your thing, and I love to see that because it's like I look at myself like if I was in your shoes back then, like wow, like you know what I mean, like you're not how do you say, you're not outcasted in any way because of your beliefs or whatever you're doing. Like people are more and more like trying to get into this. They're trying to learn more about astrology, numerology, and the things and esoteric stuff, especially young people. They're like, they really want it to, they see it almost as like a blueprint now, so it's amazing. And like
you had to pave the way for us though, like I'm 28, but I look up to you guys. You guys have more experience, you have more life, and you guys all have different perspectives, and I do feel like sometimes some of the younger people, they don't always take the advice of the mentors and people a little bit older than them. But if they could just fall back for a second and try to internalize what the older people try to say, they can learn a lot, and it will help us in a lot of ways. So thank you for that, and I learned from you. You could be seen as somebody I can look towards for mentorship and stuff like that, and thank you. So
no, for sure, man. I mean, it's like I kind of look at it like finally people get it, like finally people can apply this, without haste. You know what I mean? You don't have to be like let's say you're in high school, you don't have to tell everybody you're into this or whatever, but you could find people that are like you, that you could find people that you could talk to about this, or like just open up a channel and just like have people comment on and give feedback on their own experiences, you know what I mean? And that's where I find it so amazing, and I say, wow, like, okay, so all those tragedies I had in my life, no, there's more to do, there's more to give, you know what I mean? And and I gotta see this through, bro. I gotta see something, you know what I mean? Like whatever, I wanted flying cars, but this is good enough, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, people that can actually, they're gonna be able to apply it, and they're gonna be able to to drastically you know, change their lives, you know what I mean, and like for the better, and like not commit like, you know, the mistakes that were made in the past, you know what I mean?
And if you haven't been told yet, like you don't know who's watching you, who's looking at your content, you know, and you just, that's like you said, you have to keep doing your work. You know, there's been a lot of times where people have been following me for years, and just out of nowhere, after a couple years, they decide that, hey, I've been following you for years. You've helped me a lot in a lot of different ways. You know, keep doing what you're doing, and I won't hear from them, you know, for another couple months. That's okay, but that's just motivation that, you know, to keep doing what you're doing, because you don't know who's following you and stuff like that. So
yeah, man, like I try to keep it like humorous in my decodes in some sort of way, even if it's funny just to me. But like even just the stuff that I come up with, I just try to get a laugh out of it, you know. Like that's another thing too that I've, you know, developed, you know, obviously with the groups I'm in and following, you know, Waters and all that. It's just like you can't be mad at the shit that's going on around you. You can only kind of like change yourself and be that light for yourself, you know what I mean? Like I was always like, oh man, this guy doesn't agree with what I'm saying, he thinks it's all conspiracy and blah blah. I'm over that. That's why I try not to do so much of that in my decodes, you know what I mean? I see that you do the same thing too. You just keep it on a positive note. You're not here trying to this is, she said, or whatever. Like, you know, you do it.
We don't got time, bro. Yeah. Like literally, we don't have time, dog. Like you said, we have work to do. I can't spend time trying to debunk somebody or try to say, hey, what he said is not true about me. We got shit to do. We got shit to put out for the people who need it, and for the people who don't want it, who don't need it, that's fine. You know? Right.
It's not for everybody.
No.
Some people just born, you know, like how they say that phrase NPC, they're just born to be that way, you know, like they have their own path, they have their own I guess program.
Yeah, we all have different roles. Like, you know, the Shakespeare quote, you know, the world's a stage and we're all just actors in it. We all have a different role in that. Some roles have bigger, some people have bigger roles than others, but it all gets put together in the collective in the end of the day. And the goal is to figure out where you fit inside that. If it's just for you, if you just have a regular life with a wife, like a wife and family, that's totally okay, as long as, you know, you're trying to better yourself within that realm. Stuff.
Yeah, it's not only about, like, I know people find this based off like just currency or money or whatever, but then if you keep following people that like for example, you and the others that I mentioned, like you get other things out of it, you know what I mean? Like you're supposed to get other things out of it at least, you know, because obviously if you're talking about numbers, you know, you're dealing with the levels, you know, like you're supposed to become whole with the number 10, right? That's why it's so important, that number 10. But like that's how I felt, you know. I came in with it, like, you know, trying to make more like better investment choices or whatever, and I came out of it like it was like a alchemical process, even for myself, you know what I mean? It's so,
I know it.
Yeah, man. Like now I use it like I you know, I hope people think I'm obsessed. I'm like, yo, give me your birthday. What's this? Like, let me see what year you're born in. And I think you're supposed to do that. I think you're supposed to kind of catalog in a way, like, you know, other people. Okay, so what are their likes with it? You know, you're gonna avoid so many problems, so many issues like that. Like, just think about it. You know that person is like that, so you already know that they're gonna act a certain way if you do this or that. Like, you already know from the beginning, you know. You know what I mean? 100%. So I think it's very, very important to like decode ourselves, decode your name, put it in the calculator, see what those numbers vibrate. And I've been kind of telling people too, like, learn the numerology, learn what the number 1 is, learn what the number 2 is, learn up to like whatever the 9 that people go up to, the master numbers 11, 22, and 33. Learn those, and then when you apply it to like decoding yourself, or apply it to a crypto or this, you're gonna see that it means more than what it is than just a match. You know it?
The book, yep, 100%. The book, Constructing the Universe, 1 through 10 by Michael Schneider. That's a book suggestion. If you haven't done it, you haven't heard that book, I suggest it. I've read that, and it goes in line exactly what you said. I read it just because I wanted to understand the different archetypes of each number, and I came out transformed and more holistically understanding what each number means. And it's, goes for, it's deeper than just, gematria or using it for money. Like, it helped me in so many aspects, into where my next video, the rule of Colel, where you can plus minus a digit and it can still be used as the same energy in gematria. So what I'm doing in one of my next videos is breaking down the divinity of 1 and 2, but with geometry, and how 1 and 2 are just like divine. They're not even numbers; they're parents of numbers, and that's what the book explains. They create the number in 3, and so I'm using now geometry to break that down, and I'm finding a lot of powerful decodes within that. Because if you think about it, 3 is when you can finally first get your first shape of tangibility. 1 and 2 is really just polarity. It's just the mirror of 1, but there's no tangibility within that. 3 brings that all in together, and then you get in 4 that creates the arena, and that's what the book breaks down, and has helped me understand. And hopefully, when I bring out that presentation, it will help people understand that better. Things get so deep, and there's so many life lessons you can learn just from 1 through 9.
Yeah, there's one that's on the screen. I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but no, you can't see it. Hold on. I messed up there. Hold on, give me a second.
And sorry if you hear any barking. That's my small dog.
What kind of dog you got?
I have 2. They're 2 Shih Tzus. They're my family's dogs. Yeah.
I got a Chihuahua. She's a yapper, bro. She's a yapper, bro. So she's loud. Every time she hears the door, but that's the only time she really barks. Is like if she hears the door or somebody's coming into the house, she'll let us know. But that's why they're not like the biggest protector dogs, but they'll warn you. Fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
So I don't mind, man. And I don't hear your dogs at all.
Okay,
so
cool.
You're good, bro.
Cool.
But yeah, man. Oh my God, I was pulling up the name, but then it'll take off the screen here. But I'll send it to you in the DM. The one book that I keep going back to. But there's another book that I could name off the top of my head. Well, it's an older book. It's by Hans D.A.T.A. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's a master numerologist. He has his own program also that you could plug in dates or whatever, and then to decode yourself or a family member or other people and how they relate to you through the numbers. But I feel like I just keep going back to for some reason. And I've got many books on numerology, but those are like my 2. But the other one I'll send it to you through the DM. But there's books, like I get something out of it. I don't get it. I get repetitive information, but for example, what I've learned, the number 0, for me, even just using the tarot card, if you pull up the tarot card, the using the 0 card, right? The Fool. So we start as the Fool, the adventurer, the seeker, right? Also, but through the numerology, the 0 is kind of for me at least, the intuition. Is the cosmic egg, is how we come into the universe. So we all start at 0, and then when you name 1, it's taking action and going into obviously the 2, which becomes just the 11, right? And it's just the pillars of Boaz and Yakim, the subconscious to the conscious, the sun and the moon, and then becoming getting that 1 again to create with the male and the female, right? And the 3rd is just creation. That's what what God tells us to do, to be creative, to use our creativity, you know what I mean? So it makes a lot of sense once you look at it like that, and the 4 going on and on and on. But yeah, once I look at it like that, and I look at what your number is and your number is, okay, now I get you. You know, I get you a little bit more than just like, and not to down, you know, Western astrology or anything like that, but I just get a lot more from it. And for me, I tell people, I'm like, I use the 0, my intuition, then I go to the 1, which is numerology for me, and then 2 will be like Chinese astrology, and then like 3, whatever the following will be like Chinese, you know what I mean? I'm sorry, Western astrology, and then between like it'll be a debate between maybe the astrology and tarot to me, like they're like the kind of like going online, like, you know what I mean? But then tarot, I could also say, goes back to the 0, using your intuition too, you know. But so, you know what I mean? So I have my own method on, like, when I use my decodes, but it's wonderful to do it in that way, to try to connect the dots. You'll get more and more information out of your decodes, and for yourself, right? You know, to read other people and to learn about other people, because that's what we're here to do too. You know, we got to learn about each other. You know, we have to study each other, you know, like our own like psychology of you know, how do you use your brain, you know, think to this situation or this, you know, or that, and you get to know that these numbers have personalities, you know.
100%. I totally agree. And so what you were saying when you were breaking down like Chinese astrology, you were just ranking how you use those different ones and stuff like that.
Well, Chinese, well, yeah, like how I use the method. Like, for example, 0, like I said, is my intuition. This is how I come up with my own methods. So I'll use my intuition first. What is this telling me? Like, for example, I did the whole, Elon Musk, one of his tweets on the 28th. And I said, oh shit, he's born on the 28th. Right? And I'm like, well, maybe there's a connection there. And then I followed that, was like, wait, he has a clear, transparent toilet, and he's saying I can see shit clearly now. Transparency builds trust. And from there, just using my gut, I say, yo, there's something out here. It's not a riddle, but it's just my own thing of reading what he said. And from there, I use the 1. Now I'm using the numbers. Now I go and plug in whatever his life path is, or whatever his, you know, his numerology is, even in the calculator itself, or life path. And then I take it from there, and then I go, you know what I'm saying? Then I'll use the tarot. I'll use sometimes the Chinese zodiac. Well, I'll use this. Like I always like go back and forth. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But like for me, like the way I think of like if I'm writing a book or a course, I'm saying 0 is the 1 from, like, not the 1, but I start from 0.
You start from 0.
Yes, like it's very important. Like for me at least, you know.
Yeah. Hey, if you ever want to write a book one day, an online ebook, it doesn't have to be crazy long or anything. I would buy it. You know, really pick your brain.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like I think I got something to say, man. It's for real. Like I think I got something to give, and it's gonna be a good template for people that are especially starting off. You know, so to be more like beginners, intermediate, and then eventually I'd love to come out with like more like an advanced. Eventually, when I get to the place I want to get at, you know. But even just like talking to people, like I could be like an hour trying to like, and I could break you down and stuff like that, just by that, like just by numbers or just by this. And then like obviously my intuition kicks in, obviously, you know, in between, at the beginning or something, but I never negate that intuition, that hunch. And even if I look foolish telling you this, like for example, like I'm playing with the Chinese astrology, right? Like, and I saw this person, I was like, he's always begging, you know, in front of my supermarket. And one day I give him $10 and he looks at me, he's like, oh my God, like it was like big for him, you know, nobody's giving him shit all day, probably quarters and pennies. And he steps up to me, he's like, thank you. And he was so grateful. And then another day he comes and I was like, here. He's like, bro, that day that you gave me the $10, they finally gave me an apartment from the homeless shelter or whatever. And I'm like, damn, I was mad happy for him, but it's not like something that I created. But maybe that blessing led him to something. I don't know. You never know. When you go in the homeless shelter, you can last years in there, bro, in that system. Especially if you're a man. You know what I mean? A woman will get it, like, you know, with WIC and having kids, you get it real quick. But a man has to wait months up to years. So he's probably been there in that system for a long while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, cool, bro. Like, and then, okay, now we go to the third time I meet him. I said, we're talking, and he has like bandages over his arms, right? I was like, bro, what's up, man? Like, you all right, man? He's like, No, man, my cat. I just adopted a cat, right? Check this shit out. I adopted a cat. And I was like, so a cat did that to you, man? He said, yeah, my friend wasn't really taking care of it. I felt so bad. It was a kitten. I was like, all right, cool, man. I was like, yo, what's your Chinese zodiac sign, by the way? He goes, oh, I'm this year. I'm like, bro, you're a rooster, bro. You should not have a cat. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, you know, he's obviously one of these people, like, you know, animal lover, you know, they feel the love. And I would never take that away from nobody. But it's just like, yo, can you just at least try it, man? Like, I don't think that's a good thing. I was like, what's your experiences with cats, bro? He's like, this guy's like, I think he was Lebanese or something. He came here as like almost an orphan, yo. And he's been like his whole life, like in the streets and shit like that. Like as a teenager, as like young kid and shit. And I'm like, yo, bro, and back, like he's like, no, back home, I got a cat or whatever. And I was like, so how did that cat treat you, bro, back then? Oh, he was a bastard with me. I'm like, there you fucking go. What if that cat brought you bad luck? I don't know. But you brought you bad karma, and look where you at right now.
Wow.
Like
that's a great point.
Like, and it's just like, okay, so for the viewers, right? I gotta give a shout out to GG33, you know, using their number systems and shit like that, because they'll be pissed too if I don't say it, like whatever. I'm not part of them, you know what I'm saying? But I've taken
Gary, right? Yeah, Gary.
Yeah, I've been in their academy and all that or whatever. He blocked me and all that shit. We'll talk about that later or whatever. But whatever, this mysterious people that you meet, all these people that you think like, oh shit, like nobody's perfect, but whatever, for his own circumstances or whatever, whatnot. But I did learn a lot. And I never thought, I was like, because, oh, another story. My godmom had this whole thing, like, you know, she does the whole reading for the year through the horoscopes, right? So she says, this year she's starting with the Chinese zodiac. I was like, yo, but you never applied that into any of your videos. She's like, I know, but I have a feeling. I have a good feeling. I've been studying this for a little bit. But I was like, all right, so go ahead. She starts making the video. She says, the year of the rat, the year of the pestilence, a lot of deaths. And I'm like, are you sure? you claiming some shit right here. What fucking happened the year of the rat? Look what happened. 2020. Look at 2020 how it was.
Yeah.
But then on the down to, like, but once you learn the magic out of this shit, look at what you would have done in the year of the rat. You would have bought mad shit. You would have bought anything. It would have flown in the year of the ox. So then it's a fucking science, bro. Just like how we use in numerology. It's a science how we're using tarot. It's a science how we're using astrology. It's all math. And math is learning. So then once you throw all this into a mix, imagine the dish, or you know what I mean, the delicacy you turns out. Now you a cook. Now you're a real cook. Because it's like, back then, it was just like, nah, you can't apply this to this. Like, you know, I'm talking about, you know, people, you know, like even another backstory. I was mostly learning about the 21st Division and the Dominican cultures. You know, in the Caribbean cultures, they call it the 21st Division, or they call it Santeria and all that, right? And I was following that even through college, because I had a friend that was baptized in the religion, or whatever you want to call it, religion or whatnot, or the folkism, the folk culture, you know, and the way they practice spirituality, you know, coming from the slaves and uncovering and using the you know, the saints to say like, oh, it's not Ogun, it's this saint, so you don't get killed or whatever, because you got to practice Christianity, whatever. So it goes back, you know, all those hundreds of years, you know, from the beginning of the colonies or whatever. So I started studying from there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I started studying from there, and I was like, okay, like I never got everything either. Yeah. And it wasn't like totally for me. Like I was like, they wanted me to be in it, but I was like, something reserved me not to, like, you know, to wait, you know. Then I get kicked in. Like, this is how life kicks your ass, bro. Like, if what you meant to do is gonna kick you in your butt to do it. And I never thought I'd be in this situation. Okay, so I went into like college. I went through this. It followed me. I always practiced like my candle magic and this and that, and my respect, and, you know, having an altar and all that stuff, you know, and doing all that type of work, and then being smacked into like working in the Botanica and learning from a master freaking Cuban you could say shaman, but he's more like a high priest in the Lucuma religion or whatever they call it, Palo. right?
Okay.
So I learned a bits and pieces through there, and I was developing my intuition and developing my tools. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, yo, but guys, but you don't use numerology, you don't use this. And then I was like, no, we're this. We're this. You know what I mean? But I do commend the Lukumi religion, the Palo religion, because their symbologies, it's very difficult to learn. It's like a science. The old tradition African way is a science. Like even the symbols, they do use certain dates, they do use certain things. But I obviously I wasn't baptized, I didn't get to that level. I'm not claiming to be, you know, a palero or whatever, but I did practice on a great mentor, you know, that he taught me what he could at that time. He wanted me to be baptized, but that's another thing. Then I fall into, you know, my godmom, she's a, you know, shaman from Peru, throwing cards, using astrology, using her thing, her intuition, because she's a great psychic, you know. She's a 31, she's born on the 31st date, and I'm gonna make a course on the numbers of dates and how you could, because this is wonderful. This 31 follows me, and there's something towards it, and she's that. She don't, yo, bro, she don't need cards, she don't need this, she just gotta look at you. She's got to hear your vibration on your voice, you know, and me helping her, you know, get her to a certain level, and she told me everything she knows. You know what I mean? Yeah. So then now I'm boom. Okay, I'm getting more into the numbers more. Okay, but now I'm really like applying everything, you know. And then now when I, you know, have to help somebody in my own client base, like I apply everything. Like I apply all this little knowledge and stuff, you know, that I'm still picking up more and more. I want to master it soon, you know. But bro, like everything, it just kicks your, like life kicks your butt. You don't know where you're gonna be at, and if it does lead you to a way that, like all the hardships and all the struggles that I went through, I'm like, wow, like okay, I get it now.
Like all things work on all things. I fully believe that. You know, there's every action that everyone takes is just one part of the equation, and for the next step. So that's why, you know, I love that you said, you know, you try to you know, learn everything. Obviously I don't know much about that religion you're talking about, that Cuban religion, but it's interesting. It seems like, you know, they're very spirit space, and you said you brought up maybe it has a little bit of African roots. No,
it definitely does, because if you look at like the book the Why the Cocks Fight, I forget the author's name. You look at how we got, you know, into the colonies, how the, you know, how we were classified. The first census was taking place in the colony of Dominican Republic, and where did whatever Cristo Columbus or whatever Christopher Columbus come, you know, he got to there, the Hispaniola. So we've been classified since then. We've been like whatever, stripped of religion since that point. So anytime you talk about 1492, you speak of Hispaniola first, and then it spans out into the other, like, you know, Taino cultures and whatever, and then up, you know, whatever. So we have that mix or whatever, or original. When people say, oh, we're mixed or we the original mixers, bro. We got everything in us, bro. We're the original New York. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it, you know? So I see 100%. The importance in that, and I see the masking that, you know, slaves had to do, you know what I mean? Like they couldn't just practice in their face. And I see the meshing also of like how they took their parts of the religion and created like, what's that called? Hoodooism, like in like Louisiana and stuff like that. You see, about to bring that up, bro. Like white people practicing this shit, like fucking, like, with chicken bones, and they adopted this whole shit too. You know what I mean?
I was just about to bring up. I live in Salt Lake, you know, the LDS church, Mormonism. So a lot of people don't realize, you know, you said I might be saying it wrong. Voodooism, but you know, in Louisiana.
They got the hoodoo,
So the Utah jazz started in New Orleans first, and when you look at that religion, hoodooism, it's very similar to Catholicism. How they look at the different saints, like the different archetypes and the different stories and things like that. And I firmly believe the LDS Church and how it's set up. It has roots in, you know, hoodooism and then Catholicism, and it goes back to Louisiana. in New Orleans, and just how they see things. So it's interesting how like all these different.
Yeah, all you gotta do is look up the big Madama from that time, from like I think I can't, don't quote me on the time period, 1700s, maybe 18, I would say 1800s. And she was the one that was like, they looked at her like, oh, we got to do this. Like the governors used to go to her
Wow.
for advice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how strong this lady was, because she had that lineage of what? Of the real Madama, the black Madama, like the caretaker, right? The one that put all the potions together and healed the slaves when they were sick and or whatever, or gave them that energy, that kick, like, hey, yo, like, we gotta do what we got, you know what I mean? Like, but like help them, you know, was the cook also, like, and it's like, you know, it's controversial because you saw her images and they took that away from the Aunt Jemima, but that was her, that was that spirit, you know what I mean? Wow. that held that together, bro. It's powerful shit, man. Like she gave, like that Madama gave me this apartment that I have now. Like I saw her in a dream, and I said, any saint that I have in my altar is based off of what, like someone like some that I made a connection with, or that I had a dream with, and they wanted to be in my altar, you know what I mean? But she's strong spirit there, man, and has to deal a lot with like the cards too, like people that read cards and all that. But yeah, man, it goes back then. It goes like, you know, that history, you know, that a lot of people don't know about, you know.
Yeah, you're making me interested. Like I've done, like one of my great mentors, Nate. He helped me when I first came into this knowledge. He helped me decode the Bible, the Christian Bible, a lot, and find things. But you're making me really interested to make sure I scan all the different other religions in the world to put the pieces together, and how I can, you know, formulate my own ideas after learning about them.
And then the funny thing is, once you get to a certain level, you'll see that even like you know, the more Caribbean tradition, or like I said, the Louisiana tradition or whatever, they always apply some Asian shit into it, or they apply some type of, not in a total way, but they'll apply, you know, even using the numbers for their magic or whatever, you know what I mean? So I see that I'm like, okay, so they adopted like a little bit of everything. It's like how you say, like if you go to, you know, like another country, they'll do noodles or whatever, you know, like, or like pasta, and I'm like, yo, that's not a traditional dish. Like, because you had like whatever Italian traders come into their country and like giving, you know, their spice or whatever, their dishes or whatever, you know. So I feel like everything leaves a little bit of resin behind, you know. And people, and then once you look at it like that, you see the sciences, okay, they kind of intertwine a bit, you know?
More intertwined. And people, the great deception of America is what was here before, you know, the Europeans came. And obviously the ones who know, there were obviously, you know, Native Americans here, Africans here. But in reality, and from my research, America has always, in the history of the world, as I've looked back, America has always been the economic epicenter for the world. You can go back to Egyptian times. So there's copper deposits in the Great Lakes that aren't there anymore. They're like tons, like hundreds of millions of tons. And if you look at the timeline of when the Bronze Age happened, it goes directly to Egypt, and you can tell the Egyptians had to be over here to mine the gold, mine the copper to fund the Bronze Age. And you were just in Arizona, in the Grand Canyon, there was actually like Egyptian artifacts found in the Grand Canyon, and there's Mali-like cliff dwellings in the Colorado Pueblos. And so we are way more intertwined than what the schools have told us, what the institutions have told us.
Well, sure. If you look at, I think his name is he looks at Tartaria a lot.
Yeah.
Martin Leakey, I think is his name. And then he goes into that. He says, wait, but there's like maps and depictions of people and cultures that like, okay, this person was of color, this person wasn't, but they're all together worshiping a god or whatever, or dealing, you know what I mean, like but you saw it. And I think that's where we come in, and we're like, wait, we were stripped of this, like there's a lie here also, you know what I mean? So we got to think of the biggest lies in the book, you know what I mean, like and question everything, you know, and make up your own like choice, or not choice, but like your own opinion about everything that you see, you know what I mean?
Yep, it's just a big lie. You know, I don't know. I study a lot, but at the end of the day, when you study more, you realize you don't know a lot. You know,
yeah.
The more you figure out, you know, the more you figure out you don't know.
Exactly. But it's like it's the wonderful unraveling. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, you get called to it.
100%.
But yeah, man. But you do you have some more time, or do you have to go?
Yeah, dude. Do you have like any questions? I got time, bro.
Yeah. All right. I was just gonna like step to the bathroom real quick. Okay. I'll be right back. That's cool.
Cool. Yep.
All right. Yeah, man, I'm back. So, man, yeah, I wanted to thank you again for taking your time out. Whenever you feel like you gotta go, let me know, man. I'll keep talking.
Yeah, man, I could do, because it's what? I got like 15 minutes, man. I could stay on 15 minutes. I gotta get dinner to me, but man, this was great.
Yeah, for sure, man.
What we gotta figure out, like an actual, like, you know, I know you had your like your what's his face yesterday with like Duke Doobie and stuff like that. I like Duke a lot. He brings a lot of good decodes.
Yeah, for sure, man. He's a dope decoder. I want to, like, you know, yeah, for sure. You want to get together for sure with all of us, bro. Like, you're more than welcome to.
I'm mostly stocks. I decode cryptos a little bit. You know, I followed Waters when I started getting in crypto and stuff. But I'm 100% down to scheme up something where I can come in and we can maybe talk about some projects you guys are looking in and whatnot, because I haven't been doing a whole lot of research on cryptos lately. I'm invested in Cardano, but you know, Cardano is the only crypto I have money in right now. So I need to find more.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff, like we're really excited, like even from our last video. I know we're talking about the shittiest shit going.
yeah
But we're trying different things, and we have a new member, Nexus, Blade Runner. Also, because it started with just a couple of us, you know, where it was just Divine Vortex, me and Duke. And, you know, we're adding on like a little bit more members and stuff like that are really just, you know, either have their own channel, they're really talking about the same thing, or they're trying to get somewhere. But definitely, like, we feel mad excited about like crypto coming up. We got some,
What's your
some
view
good
on
energy.
crypto? Like, where do you see? So I'll give you
Like
my.
even, yeah, even like just the last thing, I had a whole spiel. Like, I have to definitely come out with that video, but it's in that spiel is in the video of the shittiest shit coin, the caca. I called it the caca coin video. Just having fun out there. But in there, I gave a great presentation on how I feel about crypto and where we're going, because it's like I've been saying, it's like these these old systems are not to, not to be trusted. They're on their way out, and all the planetary alignments are leading us there, you know what I mean? And we need innovation, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we need a system set up already that you can like have payments like this instantly, that you don't have to wait around. And obviously we need privacy. That's very important. So we have a couple of members too that speak on privacy, and like or if you could go in there and listen to also what's his name, Bird Dog 45, the Crypto Ronin. You can look at his channel, and he tells you how to DeFi. He tells you how to do the whole privacy thing, through the coins, and like avoid it. Like, he's a master at it. Like, this dude is a master at it, and you can like really trust him because he's on the esoteric shit. He's not about that bullshit. Oh, Lambo life and blah blah blah. He's like really trying to help people learn about it. And like in a trusting way. He's not trying to shill, you know what I mean?
Okay, I like that.
He's just showing.
I don't know if you know who Benjamin Cohen is. That's like the only person I really outside of Waters I listen to. He's just smart, and I feel like he doesn't try to like shill anything. He just,
Yeah, he's very knowledgeable. I've seen him I've seen him for a while, man. But yeah, so that's what we're trying to do. But like we're like I said, we're excited because okay, it doesn't happen this year, whatever, like, but these years coming up are really really good for crypto, and you see the way that it popped off even from the beginning, even from January, and the funny thing is, I have one that I'll probably release later. Just I'm waiting to the end of the year to verify the whole thing, the whole theory that I have, but it's based off the Chinese zodiac, and I had it planned for March, like where I saw like crypto popping off, but this should happen right away. This should happen like right at the beginning of January. Like it caught everybody off guard, you know what I mean? So that's the whole thing with this thing, is like it could play mind games on you sometimes. I would say, like, if you're learning, just to like DCA a little bit here and there, pick out like the best times where you can really put a little bit of money at a time. Don't put everything in it. And I feel like still we're not in 100%, like everybody wants to be the altcoin season, we're not there yet. You're gonna see projects popping off here and there, but it's just still like, especially this month, I feel like it's very uneasy still, and I see better things coming maybe for July, August. But then you're dealing with and you've seen it in your work too, right? Like where September doesn't really look too good, right? Like I've seen your stuff with stocks and all that, so it kind of makes sense.
Right now. The two parts, I'll talk about the crypto part and how it goes with stocks. So the crypto part, this is my theory on crypto in general. So I come from the basis of the people who are overseeing crypto. Well, the people who, like the banks, the old banks or whatever like that, they're just transitioning to be the overseers of crypto. And the thing that I keep saying is, as soon as you start seeing crypto projects merge with businesses, I keep thinking that A.T.A is going to merge, Cardano is going to merge with Microsoft. Charles Hoskins, the CEO of Cardano, he keeps bringing it up. He keeps bringing up Microsoft so much. I've seen so many of his interviews. Microsoft. And I think that's what's going to happen with crypto eventually. Is there's going to be a few set of projects where the matrix controllers come in. They're going to bring these certain cryptos in, and then it's going to they're going to start making it almost like a stock market with the cryptocurrencies. So I think that a lot of like the Wild West with the different coins, meme coins, altcoins and stuff, there's only maybe so much time of that left before they really crack down, in my opinion.
I mean, they're already like if you see from like the examples they're setting on people, like what happened to Luna, what happened to like, you know, the other dude, Sam Backman Free,
Yeah.
you know, then Celsius, all that. They've been like giving jabs. I feel like sometimes even projects like those big projects, what I recommend everybody, don't trust nothing. Like, don't make this your brother, your father, your mother. It's treated like whatever. It's just an investment. Be very partial to it, you know what I mean? Don't put
Use
your
risk
emotion into it.
management.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
From
like,
experience, use risk management. Don't go all in.
right.
Don't try to be a big boss.
They don't care about you. At the end of the day, say it to yourself. Like, people get, like, you know, you have hex people, ADA people, this and that. If you mention one thing bad about their creator of their coin, they're like, they go off. And I've had that experience in Twitter. I'm like, that's why when I got into this group with wolves, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, whoa, this is a breath of fresh air. Because you could say something, but like, people not gonna get crazy about it. It's just your opinion, you know? And it's just like, don't get tied up. Like, people just gonna keep hyping and whatever and make this click. Like, you know, oh, you're a click over here. I'm not, I don't belong to any of those, you know? I do believe the best performing asset obviously is Bitcoin, all day, all night, you know what I mean? If you leave your money in there, you're gonna get profits later, you know what I mean? It's still kind of like very stable, you know what I mean? If you look at the charts, you know? And in the long term, it's like why they say it's like gold. It's like, you know, even esoterically, it's the sun to all the cryptos, you know what I mean? It's without Bitcoin, you don't got anything, you know?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, like, that's it. Like, I mean, well, obviously there's ultra, but like, if for some reason, I don't think Bitcoin is going down, but if for some reason Bitcoin lost its spot, I don't think that would be a necessarily good thing for crypto. I
mean, but it'll have to be a hell of a project to lose it, or maybe a multiple projects where they still haven't done it, you know, like,
do you think ETH could ever do something like that?
It could in the long run. Of course, you could still see like probably ETH at like maybe even up to like 12,000 one day, or like whatever, 20,000, and it is still gonna run a line closely to, you can even see it in the Gematria, like it's tied to the number 36, ETH and BTC. You know what I mean? Like, you see that tied together, like that, you know, that 36, that 360 degrees, that, you know, like the shit we talking about, planetary alignments, they go in ciphers, right? We study ciphers, right? Number ciphers, right? It's the same thing. So it's like, I mean, but as far as like me studying it and what is his name, the creator and all that, like, I do it for fun. I do it to decode them and to see what information I could come out of it. But I'm not I would say I'm not a fanboy, because I was a fanboy for Solana, but I fucked that up. But that's neither here nor there. But like, you know what I mean? But you get into those moments, you know what I mean? I got into my little mode where I was into NFTs and stuff like that. I don't know what the hell I was doing, but I was talking to these guys all day, these young guys talking about NFTs and what they're buying and what the projects can be done for. And you see the NFT market is not really that great now. It's not their time, you know? There's still so much uncertainty going on, but then Bitcoin could go up to like 49K tomorrow. I don't know. It's that quick. It's gonna happen quick. You know what I mean? And just just be careful not to buy at the top, you know? like you know what I mean? That's a biggest mistake. Yeah.
Risk management, don't go all in. Like, even if you make the mistake and buy close to the top, you'll be okay if you just nibble, because you can always buy back in, because you will have more money to buy back in when it settles. That's where I had to learn with the stock market. You know, when the craze was happening in 2021, I was a part of GameStop. Like, I was in GameStop October 2022 when it was, you know, under $10. I had shares at $9. My average before the actual squeeze was $13. I literally sold shares at about $100 from that point. I saw it go up to, I saw my account with GameStop when it was sitting at $350, over 6 figures. Now, so I'm gonna give people a caution. This is a caution to, you know, using numerology, esoterics. You have to also use logic. You can't use this knowledge as an end-all be-all, because I was just coming into this knowledge. A lot of 33s. I'm a 33. GameStop's a 33. You know, I'm a young cat making a whole lot of money, and I remember this. I wrote on my piece of paper, when it gets to like $300, I'm selling shares. I never sold shares when I wrote on a piece of paper because I allowed the outside world to tell me, oh, it's going to 1,000. Why would you sell your shares if it's going to 1,000? And things like that. So I lost out on a lot more money I could have had, not because I didn't have a plan in place for myself. I didn't follow my plan. I allowed other people to intervene with what my plan was. And part of it was because the numbers I felt like were behind it as well. So even when we use all this knowledge, you have to stay grounded as well, because if I would have stuck to my pragmatic plan,
bro, if I would have listened to you, what you're saying now, I would have known you back then. I would have not sold my ETH at $700 or whatever. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I would have stuck to my plan and know that, okay, you don't have to be a fanatic, but like know where your project is standing at against the whole overall market. Know where it came in. Did it come in before Corona? Did it come in after Corona? You see how they're tested right now within this, because there's a lot of new projects out there, you know. But then it's like, it's your risk, and have fun with it too. You know what I mean? It's your risk, because I've seen these guys make money off, you know, like how we were discussing that thing. Like my boy is up right now, like on that shit coin.
Yeah.
And he saw it coming, and I love seeing shit like that, because like at least he knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? You're not just going in there, oh, because my brother said, yeah, that this, like, no, you're going in there, you're learning you're learning the trading techniques, you're learning the charting. You might apply the Gematria too, you know, apply everything else, but you know, you're not basing it off somebody else, you know, and then blaming that person. Oh, you made me lose so much money and blah blah. Nah.
You gotta stick to your sword. But, so I'm gonna get off, but I have one last thing. I'm talking about stock market. So it's a big. So right now, you know, the debt ceiling passed for America. We just are passing our default. Now, tomorrow is the first day where the Treasury is going to start issuing more Treasury bills. Essentially, think of it as like it's diluting a stock, where they're putting a lot more, notes out there so people can buy it up, and, you know, liquidity is going to start getting a little hectic. So I just want to let people to know.
That's tomorrow?
Tomorrow, the Treasury bills.
Okay, because I said in my DeCode, I don't know if it might be a pivot point. I don't know if it's up or down. I don't know, maybe 21K the worst at Bitcoin, and I said 32K going up or whatever. We passed that, you know, that's a psychological point. But I named 6/5. I named June 5th as potential. I don't know what's good, but now you're saying the whole Treasury
tomorrow's
thing.
The day where the Treasury bills come in, and I don't know what the market. Obviously, you can't predict the market, but
tomorrow Apple has that event too, that World Developers Conference tomorrow too.
Exactly. And so I do believe if people just use, the world's not going to end. I don't think America is anywhere near a point where it's not going to be the top dog monetary status soon, but just people just got to stay grounded right now. You know, if you're in the stock market, just dollar cost average, still do your research. It's not a time to go willy-nilly and, you know, put a whole lot of money in.
Nope.
Because student loans within the debt bill, student loans will be coming back into play. And Americans, we just spend money. So the last 3 years, they haven't had paid their student loans. They've used that not to save, but to go travel, to consume. So there's not so America's in a situation now where the millennials, like the working class people that are supposed to keep America up, are now going to get hemmed up because they don't have the money to give back for the loan and stuff like that. And that's going to affect the stock market. That's going to affect, you know, prices at the grocery store even more. And so again, don't be afraid, but everybody just, you know, make sure you keep your eyes open and you stay on the conservative side of things. You play the defense, but, you know, you still, you know, buy your projects in crypto that you like at good prices. You buy those discounted stocks that you like that are good businesses. Businesses aren't going anywhere. And that's what I keep saying for stocks, crypto. I look behind these projects, crypto, do they have a good business model? Because throughout history, you know, merchants have always been a thing. People have always tried to make money. The stock market's been around for, you know, a lot longer than 300 years in America. One of the best stocks of all time is the Dutch East Indian Company from the Netherlands. They paid out like a 22% dividend for like 200 years straight. And they worked in the trade routes and the spice trades in India and stuff like that. So I just keep telling people, just research good businesses, because that's the ones that are going to survive in any world. So
yeah, and to have a little bit of cash on the side just in case, just take advantage of it. You know what I mean? Like that's one number. I don't. I know you have to go, but going back to your birthday, your important birthday, that 28, that I always see big top people have that birthday. They are the wealthiest. Like, you know what I mean? And it's good to follow D.A.T.A because I think he's on that path to wealth. I have this great good vibration with him since the first time I saw his video, and just by the actions of his words and the way his vibratory frequencies, that because he got that 9, you flip it to the 6, that's that voice. You know what I mean? So he got that. He got the 9 of absorbing all the other numbers, the 1 through 8. So this guy's powerful. He knows what he's talking about. You know what I mean? He has that inclination to have the knowledge already. You know what I mean? And almost be there, because he's almost complete right to the 10. So we get, obviously higher than that. But I love seeing that, because it motivates me to keep studying this, to keep learning, and you don't have to know it all, like D.A.T.A said. You don't have to know everything, little bit out of a time, and take little chips here and there that you could work out in your head, and if it follows you on the right path, you know what I mean, to success, you know what I mean, that we're doing our job, you know what I mean.
Yeah, thanks DeCode. And again, I'm happy to pop on again. Let me know. I'm happy to get on with your community talk, cryptos, whatever. We need, as a community, as a esoteric community, just stick together and make sure we're not, like, we all have our different clans and groups and stuff, but at the end of the day, we all have the same goal, and that's just to elevate.
Yeah, not me. I'm all up in the Discords. I'm in D.A.T.A's Discord. I'm in Waters. I'm in everybody's. You invite me to your Discord, I'm gonna go up in there. I'm gonna share what I can. I'm gonna share my video, whatever. You could take a look at it. You know what I mean? But like, I don't try to be like, oh, this click, that click. I'm over that. We all have to grow together. And what do they say? The most important thing that we've been talking about in our theme of talking about Pluto and in Aquarius, right? You have to find your tribe, guys. You know what I mean? You have to find your tribe. These things that that we have in common right now, like these are our tools. These are gonna be like our guns, our tanks. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be they're weapons. You know what I mean? So it's good to have that, that rapport with people that you could just grow and learn together and grow within each other. You know what I mean? I thank him because another person up with more subscribers, like, oh, I'm not going on his channel or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, no, it's not like that. Like, once you're into a spiritual knowledge, spiritual level, you know what I mean? You don't look at shit like that. You look at each other for who they are. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? That, I guess I don't want to ramble. I know you got to go, but thank you, man. I appreciate you, bro.
No, you're good, and thank you again. You're spot on. It doesn't matter what the subscriber count is. We all have to humbly do our part together. So, thank you for that.
Yeah, for sure, man. But we'll get back together another time. It's been 2 hours. I thank you so much. Subscribe to D.A.T.A Productions Media on YouTube. Do you have a Twitter at all?
Yeah. So my Twitter is the actual handle is System Swindler. Just System Swindler.
Okay.
Or Chestnut Checkers is the actual, the bolded name. And then I also have my business Twitter, D.A.T.A Cap Invest. So that's my 2 Twitter accounts. But the main one is System Swindler. Go follow that. I'm always on there. I'm always talking about stocks. I'm pretty fiery about the stocks I'm in and stuff. So
that's good, man. Well, I'm happy. Thank you. Also, go sub to his go follow him on Twitter. Go follow him on YouTube. Very insightful person right here. I see a lot of potential to, like, when I tell you, like, you know what I mean? You could like trust this person, what they saying. They ain't shilling. They ain't telling you specific stock, this and that. They're saying their experience, what they know and how they got to that point. You have to do the work, guys. You have to do the work yourself. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But I appreciate you, brother, man. Thank you. Have a good night. I hope everything else is well. We'll keep in touch, all right?
Yep, keep in touch. Have a good night, and be easy.
You too, bro. Peace, man.
Bye.